When he has replaced you, the first thing you must do is stop dwelling on the past. It's natural to feel hurt and betrayed, especially when someone you've invested so much of yourself into chooses to move on. But the longer you hold on to that emotional baggage, the more power you give to the past and the less power you have over your future. Holding on to hurt and anger keeps you emotionally tied to someone who's already let go of you. And that's not where your energy should be spent. Now, let's be real. Releasing the pain isn't easy. It's easier said than done. But if you want him to regret his decision, you must begin by showing that you've moved on. No one can regret losing someone who is still stuck in the past. If you keep replaying the memories, wondering what went wrong, or focusing on the mistakes that were made, you only give him more control over your life. You allow his choices to continue affecting your emotional state, and that can hold you back from moving forward. When you stop dwelling on the past, you take the power back. You regain control of your life and your emotional well-being. But this isn't just about forgetting him. It's about choosing to put your energy into healing and growth. When you let go of the past, you free yourself from the pain and allow space for new experiences, opportunities, and people. And trust me, this shift is noticeable. He will see you moving forward, not just in actions, but in your energy. And here's the thing, every time you find yourself thinking about him, remind yourself of why you need to let go, not for his sake, but for yours. When you focus on healing, you begin to focus on yourself. You start rediscovering who you are outside of the relationship. You build a stronger version of yourself who can take on the world without being anchored by past pain. The moment you stop giving the past so much of your energy, you become an unstoppable force. You start to shine with a sense of freedom and strength, and that's when he'll start questioning his decision. He'll begin to wonder why you seem so at peace, why you seem to be thriving despite everything. And that's the power you have when you release the past. When you stop dwelling on what was, you open up space for what could be, things that are far greater than anything you've left behind. Remember, the best revenge is not in holding on to anger or bitterness, but in how you rise above it. Your growth, your peace, and your transformation are the true testaments to your strength. When you choose to move forward, you show him that you're not just surviving, you're thriving, and you're doing it without him. That, my friend, is the beginning of making him regret his decision. When he replaces you, one of the most important things you need to focus on is your self-worth. Understand this. His decision to move on says nothing about your value. It's about his inability to recognize what he had with you. This is crucial. Your worth is not defined by his actions or his choices. The moment you start internalizing that, you give away your power. You allow someone else's poor judgment to shape how you see yourself. And recognize that you are deserving of love, respect, and admiration. Your value doesn't diminish just because someone failed to appreciate it. You may feel rejected or overlooked, but let me tell you this. Someone else will come along who will recognize your worth in ways that you never expected. You have to believe that, not just in your mind, but in your heart. The belief in your worth must come from within. To help you shift this mindset, start by setting boundaries for yourself. Do not allow any negativity to invade your personal space. If you're constantly comparing yourself to his new partner, or if you're feeding into the idea that he's moved on to something better, you're feeding a cycle that keeps you stuck. Recognize that his choice to move on isn't a reflection of your value, and you, my friend, are so much more than anyone else's opinion of you. When you raise your self-worth, you stop accepting less than you deserve. You start to demand the kind of treatment that reflects your value. And here's the thing, people treat you the way you treat yourself. When you start to treat yourself with love and respect, it sets a powerful example. You become a magnet for the right kind of people, those who will appreciate you for who you truly are. Now, how do you raise your self-worth practically? It starts with little daily actions. Take care of your mind, body, and spirit. Invest in yourself. Take up new hobbies. Focus on your personal goals and surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. This isn't just about distracting yourself. It's about creating a life that is fulfilling and rewarding in its own right. The more you nurture yourself, the less likely you are to find validation in someone else's approval. Remember, self-worth isn't about being perfect. It's about embracing yourself, flaws and all. The more you accept who you are, the more attractive that becomes, not just to others, but to yourself. When you hold your own worth in high regard, you become untouchable. This shift in perspective is what will make him regret his decision. He will see you thriving, becoming the best version of yourself, and it will hit him like a ton of bricks. When you stop seeking validation from him and start validating yourself, you become unstoppable. And that, my friend, is when he'll wish he hadn't let you go. When he replaces you, one of the most powerful things you can do is to stop chasing after him. You see, often when we're hurt or feeling abandoned, we mistakenly think that we need to chase the person who's walked away, to show them how much we care or to prove our worth. But the truth is, chasing him will only push you further away from the kind of relationship you truly deserve. And the more you chase, the more you give him control over the situation. It makes him feel like he holds the power, while you're left feeling helpless, dependent, and uncertain. But here's where the shift happens. When you stop chasing, when you give him the space he needs, you begin to regain control of your life. You take the power back. By stopping the chase, you show him that you are no longer willing to settle for someone who doesn't see your value. You show him that you have standards, that you won't just be there waiting on the sidelines for him to return. This doesn't mean you're closing off to love or that you're being cold, but instead, you are demonstrating that your self-worth is not up for negotiation. You're showing that you have boundaries that you are not willing to compromise. And you letting go and letting him come to you is one of the most magnetic things you can do. When you detach yourself from the need for his validation, it creates a shift not only in how he views you, but how you view yourself. You begin to realize that your life is full of opportunities, full of growth, and full of potential. His absence doesn't define you. Your presence, your growth, and your future do. When you stop chasing him, you also stop focusing all of your emotional energy on him. Instead, you redirect that energy into creating a life that fulfills you, a life where you are your own priority. You invest in your passions, your friends, your career, and most importantly, in yourself. This newfound energy and focus is intoxicating. It makes you more attractive, because you're no longer focused on the validation of one person. You're focused on creating a life that makes you proud of who you are. Here's the truth. When you stop chasing, he'll start wondering what changed. He'll start to realize that he's lost something valuable. He'll start to notice that you're thriving without him. That's when the shift happens. When he sees you as someone who is not waiting for him to complete your life, but someone who is living fully with or without him. So remember, stop chasing, start living. When you do this, you become a person who doesn't just wait for things to happen, but creates the life she deserves. And when he sees this transformation, he'll realize that losing you was the biggest mistake of his life. When he replaces you, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you're not good enough, that there's something wrong with you. But the truth is, he didn't replace you because of your worth. He replaced you because of his own insecurities, his own fears, or his own lack of understanding of what you brought to his life. It wasn't about you being inadequate. It was about him not being able to see the incredible value that you offer. And here's the thing, when you allow yourself to believe that you're not enough, you're playing right into his hands. You're accepting the idea that his choice defines you. But you're far more than any one person's opinion of you. You are a whole, beautiful person with so much to offer, not just to him, but to the world. And the moment you start realizing that, everything begins to shift. Instead of dwelling on his decision to replace you, start focusing on your own growth and your own self-worth. This isn't just about moving on. This is about thriving and truly understanding your value. When you focus on yourself, you begin to heal. You begin to recognize the ways in which you've given too much power to someone who didn't appreciate it. You start to realize that you were never the problem. You didn't do anything wrong. And once you fully understand this, you begin to take back control. You start setting boundaries. You start demanding respect from others. And most importantly, you start valuing yourself in a way you never have before. And trust me, this is when he will start to feel the regret. When he sees you moving forward, becoming stronger, becoming more confident, he won't be able to help but look back. The moment you stop showing him that you're still there waiting, that's when he starts to realize what he's lost. It's when you stop letting his absence define your happiness and instead start defining your happiness through your own actions that he'll see the error in his ways. So the next time you feel that pang of doubt, remember this: his decision to replace you isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of his inability to see what he had. It's about him, not you. And the more you move on with your life, the more he will regret. When he replaces you, the natural instinct is to want to prove your worth, to try and show him how much you've changed or how much you've grown since the relationship ended. But here's the key: trying to win him back by proving anything only puts you back in a position of vulnerability. It leaves you waiting for validation from someone else, when in reality, that validation should come from within you. Instead of chasing after him, use this as an opportunity to chase after your own growth. Focus on improving yourself, not for him, but for you. Because when you focus on your own personal development, you begin to build a life that no one can ever replace. And here's what happens when you stop trying to prove yourself. You become untouchable in a sense. You become someone who knows their worth so deeply that they don't need external approval to feel validated. This journey is not just about trying to get him to regret his decision. It's about finding yourself again. The woman who was always there, the one who is capable of achieving greatness, the one who didn't need anyone to recognize her value because she already knew it herself. When you put the focus back on yourself, you begin to glow in a way that radiates confidence and strength. They see you becoming the best version of yourself, and suddenly you become the one who's out of reach. You have to understand that while he's out there exploring new things, experiencing a life without you, you are evolving. You are stepping into a version of yourself that is stronger, more independent, and more powerful than ever. That's the version of yourself that will cause him to look back. The longer you go without needing his validation, the more he will start to question his own decisions. Because when he sees you thriving, doing well, and being the person you were always meant to be, that's when regret hits. It's important to realize that you don't need to convince anyone of your worth. Your worth is not dependent on one person's opinion of you. When you embrace your independence and own your growth, you put yourself in a position of power. You no longer rely on anyone to make you feel whole. And that, my friend, is when he'll realize what he's truly lost. Keep moving forward. Focus on what makes you happy, what inspires you, and what empowers you. Don't look back. The right people will come into your life when you stop waiting for the wrong ones to return. So stay in your power, focus on yourself, and trust that he will regret his decision in time. The more you move on, the more he will look back and realize just how much you truly meant to him. When he replaces you, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking revenge or trying to prove that you are better off without him. But here's the truth. Revenge isn't the path to your peace or empowerment. The real power comes from letting go of the need for validation and from focusing on your own emotional well-being and growth. The more you focus on healing and bettering yourself, the more you show him and the world that you are not defined by anyone's actions, but by your own strength and resilience. Revenge might feel good in the moment, but it doesn't lead to true peace. Instead, channel your energy into becoming the best version of yourself. This is a time for transformation. Use the experience of being replaced not as a reason to shrink, but as a motivation to rise up. Use it to fuel your journey to success, happiness, and fulfillment. It will become just another part of your past, a part of the story of how you rose stronger than before. One of the most powerful things you can do is to focus on creating the life you've always dreamed of, a life that is full of joy, opportunity, and fulfillment, not because of anyone else, but because of the choices you've made. When you start building your future, you stop worrying about what he's doing or who he's with. Instead, you start to look forward to the limitless possibilities that await you. You create a life that is completely your own, and that's when the true power of your transformation shows. Here's the thing. When you focus on growth and positivity, something amazing happens. You start to attract the right people. People who value you for who you are, not just for what you can offer them in a moment of need. When you let go of revenge, you make space for real relationships, connections that are built on respect, trust, and love, not on ego or resentment. When you stop trying to prove your worth and focus solely on your own growth, it's like turning on a light in a dark room. You begin to shine in a way that others can't ignore. And yes, eventually he will see that light. But by then you won't need him to acknowledge it, because you will already be fully confident in your own light. You will have realized that the power was always within you and that no one's actions could ever take that away. The focus must always be on your future, your goals, and your happiness. It's your life that matters now, not his opinion or actions. Every step you take toward personal growth is a step toward reclaiming your strength, reclaiming your peace, and reclaiming the happiness you deserve. And when you do that, you'll find that you don't need to prove anything to anyone, because you already know your worth. In the end, by focusing on your personal growth and letting go of any desire for revenge, you begin to live a life that is richer, more fulfilling, and far beyond what anyone else can offer. Keep moving forward for yourself. The more you do that, the more you'll realize that you are stronger, more powerful, and more complete without him than you ever were with him. When he replaces you, it's easy to fall into a mindset of comparison, constantly measuring yourself against the person he's now with, wondering why they seem to have what you lost. But here's the thing. Comparisons steal your peace and cloud your vision. Instead of looking at the situation from a place of competition, look at it from a place of clarity. You have your own unique journey, and no one else's path should diminish yours. Understand that being replaced isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of circumstances that are beyond your control. It's easy to think that if he moved on, there's something wrong with you. But in reality, life doesn't work in a linear way. Relationships come and go, but your value is inherent. The sooner you can internalize this, the sooner you can shift your focus away from comparison and back onto building the life you want. You may think that in order to make him regret his decision, you need to show him that you are better than whoever he's with now. But that's the wrong mindset. The goal isn't to prove anything to him. It's to prove to yourself that you are capable of moving forward, of thriving on your own, and of living a life that is fulfilling regardless of what anyone else is doing. The more you focus on being the best version of yourself, the less you care about how he views you. True confidence comes from being unapologetically you, not from competing for someone else's attention. It comes from realizing that your worth isn't tied to whether or not someone chooses you. You are already whole. When you start to see yourself that way, the need for validation from others, especially from someone who has already shown that they didn't value you enough, you become more focused on the bigger picture, on creating the life you want, and on finding peace in your own skin. By letting go of comparisons, you free yourself from the cycle of self-doubt and insecurity. Every time you find yourself comparing your life or your progress to someone else's, remind yourself that your journey is yours alone. Their success doesn't take away from yours. Your path is uniquely designed for you. And the more you embrace that, the more you start to see the beauty in your own story. Instead of focusing on what he's doing, focus on what you can do to continue growing. What hobbies or interests have you put aside that you want to revisit? What goals have you neglected that are now within your reach? The more you invest in yourself and your own growth, the less you will care about the comparisons. You will become so focused on your own progress that the need to measure yourself against someone else fades away. And the irony is, as you let go of comparisons and start living for yourself, that's when you'll naturally start to become the person who draws attention, because you are no longer chasing validation. You're living authentically, and that kind of energy is magnetic. By being true to yourself, you will attract the right people and experiences, those that truly appreciate you for who you are. Ultimately, releasing the habit of comparison and focusing on your own growth allows you to find the peace and happiness that comes from within. It takes practice, but when you shift your mindset, you will realize that you never needed to compete with anyone, least of all, someone who didn't recognize your worth. When you do this, you'll find that the power was always in your hands. It's all in you. When you feel that sting of being replaced, the first instinct is often to want to chase after him, to reach out and try to win back what you feel you've lost. But I want you to understand this. Chasing after someone who has already made up their mind about moving on is not the way to regain your power. The real power lies in stepping back, in reclaiming your own identity, and in understanding that true confidence doesn't need to chase anything. So let's think about it for a moment. If you constantly pursue someone who has already shown that they are no longer interested, what message are you sending? You're telling yourself and the world that you don't believe in your own worth. When you lower your standards to try to win someone back, you devalue yourself in the process. But here's the thing. Your worth is not dependent on whether he chooses you or not. It's never about chasing after someone who doesn't see your value. Instead, turn the focus inward. Ask yourself, What do I truly want from my life? And what makes me feel whole and fulfilled? When you start answering those questions, you begin to take your power back. The more you invest in yourself, whether it's in your career, your passions, your health, or your personal growth, the less you feel the need to chase after someone who doesn't appreciate you. You start to build a life that is so fulfilling on its own that anyone who doesn't see your worth is no longer a priority. It's important to remember that you don't need anyone to validate your existence. Your worth is inherent in who you are, and when you stop chasing after external validation, you start to develop the kind of inner strength that is unshakable. You start to understand that the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. Only when you truly believe in your own worth can you begin to attract the right people into your life, the ones who value you and see your greatness. When you stop chasing, you become the one who is pursued. This isn't about playing games or manipulating anyone. It's about showing the universe and yourself that you are enough as you are. You don't need anyone's approval to feel complete. This shift in mindset is what draws the right kind of energy toward you. It's when you stop chasing that you give yourself the space to attract what you truly deserve. Someone who is aligned with your values, who sees your worth, and who is ready to reciprocate the love and respect that you give. Moreover, when you stop chasing, you create a sense of mystery and independence that is incredibly attractive. People are naturally drawn to those who are confident and self-assured, who are content in their own skin and are not dependent on others for validation. This is a subtle but powerful way to regain your power and shift the dynamic in your favor. It's vital to remember that the more you try to chase after someone who has already moved on, the more you lose sight of who you are and what you deserve. When you step back and take control of your own life, you're telling the universe that you are ready for something better, something that is based on mutual respect, appreciation, and love. In the end, the key to moving forward and healing from being replaced is to stop chasing after someone who didn't value you. Instead, focus on becoming the best version of yourself, and in doing so, you will create a life that doesn't require validation from anyone. You'll be so filled with self-love and self-respect that anyone who doesn't appreciate you won't even be able to make a dent in your confidence. So take a step back, focus on yourself, and let the right people come to you. When you've been replaced, it's easy to spiral into thoughts of inadequacy, comparing yourself to the new person in his life. But here's the truth. What you bring to the table is unique. No one can replace your essence, your energy, and the qualities that make you who you are. The moment you start comparing yourself to someone else, you lose sight of your own power. And let me tell you this, in the aftermath of being replaced, it's natural to feel as though you have to measure up to someone else in order to win back his attention. But the key to regaining your sense of self-worth lies in focusing on what makes you stand out, not what makes you feel inferior. You have strengths, gifts, and qualities that no one else has. Rather than focusing on how the new person might be different or better, ask yourself, what makes me special? What do I bring to the world that no one else can? And when you start answering those questions, you begin to shift your mindset. It's not about competing with someone else or trying to prove your worth. It's about understanding that your value is not based on how someone else sees you or how they compare to others. Your worth is intrinsic, and it doesn't fluctuate based on external circumstances. When you start to embrace this truth, you shift from a mindset of lack to one of abundance. Instead of thinking, I'm not enough, you begin to realize that you are more than enough, just as you are. This change in mindset shifts the energy around you. When you stop comparing yourself to others and focus on cultivating your own unique qualities, you attract the right kind of people into your life. The right person will be drawn to your individuality, your confidence, and your authenticity. They will appreciate you for who you are, not for how you compare to someone else. It's also important to note that comparing yourself to someone new in his life will only hold you back. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of doubt and insecurity. Instead of looking outward, look inward. What are your passions? What are your dreams? What are the things that light you up and make you feel alive? When you focus on your growth and development, you begin to attract opportunities that align with your true self. You'll become more of who you were always meant to be. Let go of the comparison trap and start celebrating what makes you unique. There's no need to prove anything to anyone. The person who is meant for you will see your worth without you having to compete with anyone else. And when you stop comparing yourself, you stop holding onto the pain of being replaced. Instead, you allow space for the key to moving forward isn't about trying to be someone else. It's about embracing who you are, learning from the experience, and growing stronger in your self-belief. When you do this, you'll discover that being replaced wasn't a reflection of your worth. It was simply a catalyst for you to realize how much more you can achieve, how much more you can become, and how much more you have to offer. So let go of the comparison game. Recognize your value, nurture your growth, and trust that the right people will recognize you for who you truly are. As you begin to shine in your own light, you'll find that no one can ever truly replace the incredible person you are. When you've been replaced, the best thing you can do is focus on building your own life. It's easy to get stuck in the past, replaying moments over and over, questioning why it happened or what you could have done differently. But the truth is, constantly dwelling on the past will only keep you stuck. You can't move forward if you're always looking. The real power lies in what you do now, how you use this time to build a stronger version of yourself, and how you reframe your life going forward. The first step is to stop giving power to the past. It no longer serves you. Yes, the experience of being replaced might have stung, but it doesn't define who you are or what you are capable of. It's a chapter, not the entire book. You have the ability to write the rest of the story, and that's where your energy needs to go. You have to take back control over your narrative. Step into the life you desire and reclaim your sense of power and confidence. You can start by putting energy into things that bring you joy and fulfillment. Dive into activities or hobbies that make you feel alive. Things that help you rediscover parts of yourself that were lost. Whether it's travel, learning a new skill, focusing on your health, or simply spending time with friends who lift you up. You begin to realize that the world is bigger than one relationship, and there's so much out there for you to explore and enjoy. Another important part of building your life back is setting new goals. When you're in a place of pain and feeling replaced, it's easy to lose sight of your dreams. But now is the perfect time to reconnect with them. What are your personal, professional, and emotional goals? Setting small, achievable goals can help you feel like you're making progress and moving forward. They'll also help you regain a sense of purpose and direction, which is crucial for healing. Remember, growth takes time. Building your life is not an overnight process, but it's one of the most empowering things you can do. As you focus on your personal development, you'll find that your confidence begins to rise and you no longer need validation from the past to move forward. Your life will become something that you're proud of, something that doesn't rely on another person's approval or presence. And as you build your life, you'll become more attractive, not because you're trying to impress someone else, but because you're living authentically, growing, and becoming the best version of yourself. When you focus on your personal growth, the people who are meant to be in your life will recognize you for who you truly are. And in the end, the person who replaced you didn't define your worth. Your growth and journey will. By building your own life and reclaiming your power, you'll not only heal, but you'll come out stronger than before. Let this time of reflection and growth empower you. Focus on building yourself into the person you were always meant to be, and trust that the right people will come along when the time is right. Never let anyone's actions define your value.